We want to welcome everyone to our November board meeting. We're going to go ahead and get started. We've asked Dr. Walsky if he'd open us in prayer and then lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Bow your head. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance and wisdom for this meeting and just support as we go through this meeting, Lord. Please help us engage in meaningful discussion. Allow this to grow us closer together as a community. That's your holy and precious name we pray. Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before you, we have our consent items consisting of the agenda, minutes of the October 11th and October 26th meetings, overnight field trip to Senior Beta State Convention in Savannah, Georgia, January 25th to 27th of 23. And policies for revision, BCBI, public participation in board meetings, BCBI-P, public participation in board meetings procedure, CC, Lincoln County Schools Organizational Chart, GAAA-JAA, equal educational opportunities, and IDDF 4, Section 504, students.
Mr. Chair, could we just reiterate about the public participation? I know it was discussed, if Dr. Lightwood or yourself, about the 24 hours, because just so it's out to the public again.
You pulling it up, Dr. Lightwood?
I am trying to, yes, sir. Excuse me, it says the superintendent shall make available these procedures to allow citizens to address the board at regular meetings in accordance with this policy. These procedures shall include a requirement that notice be given at least 24 hours in advance of the meeting. These procedures shall be available at the superintendent's office and each regular board meeting. All comments to the board in accordance with this policy are to be brief and are intended for the board to hear from citizens, but not take action on.
Thank
Good. Any other questions on the consent items?
you. Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion by Mr. Reese to approve the consent items.
I'll second.
And a second by Mr. Madison. All in favor? Unanimous. We have one that signed up for public participation tonight, Mr. Marcus Mason. Come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Mr. Superintendent, board members, faculty, staff, ladies and gentlemen. I need not pause to say how delighted I am to have an opportunity to present my idea again. It was an idea that I came up with a couple of years ago and I presented to the board, that we honor one of our citizens. I have a packet of about 7 pages, which I'll not cover, but I want to read the person's resume in the interest of time. George Randall Edmonds, educated at Lincoln County High School, diploma 1964, Georgia Institute of Technology, BS degree in Industrial Management 1968, captain of the football team, All-American, Fox Theater Defensive Player of the Year. The University of Georgia, he got his master's and his doctorate. Work experience, Miami Dolphins, football, New England Patriots, Baltimore Colts. And then he went into private industry, Charles Elam Surveying in Lincoln County Schools as a teacher, and then superintendent, Mr. Chairman. Professional affiliates were the Georgia Association of Educational Leaders, School Superintendents Association, Georgia High School Executive Committee, and RESA Board Chairman, past chairman. His church, he's involved in local community, even to this day. Greenwood Baptist Church, he was a deacon and treasurer something else that I learned, that he was a musician. What I'm asking, Mr. Chairman, is that the board, on your next meeting, actually put on your agenda to honor Dr. Edmonds with the naming of this 64-acre campus, similar to what we did with Mr. Mason, the Dr. George Randall Edmonds Campus of Excellence, and named this building the George Edmonds Building as well. As I read his resume, actually I called his wife, I thought there was one thing missing. As we approach Veterans Day, I thought that Dr. Edmonds was a vet. I just talked to Mrs. Edmonds, and he was, in fact, served our military for 6 years. So reading his bio, reading his some of the other documents that I've seen about him, I ask that the board consider placing that item on your agenda to honor him in the way that I asked, and that can be voted on at that time. I understand that, I know I was a board member, so I know that the board will not act on this tonight, but I do ask that you, a board member, if all possible, ask that it be put on there. And Mr. Chairman, if no one comes forward, I ask that you put it on there yourself. Two faults that I found with Dr. Edmonds, and I did a survey, I know my time is limited. Two groups of people know you best: your siblings and your classmates. After my presentation several years ago, and that was not acted upon by the board, I did my own survey. I don't know his siblings, I don't know if he has any siblings, but I ran into 3 of his classmates. One he married, Trudy Edmonds. Asked her what she thought. She said, oh yeah, he deserves that and more, but he would not want it. I asked his classmate at Georgia Tech and Lincoln County High School, D. Turner, what he thought. He would not commit. He said, no, I don't know. I asked the chairman of the board at the time that Dr. Edmonds was chairman, Lamar Leroy, what he thought. He said absolutely not. All he did was do his job. Tried to reiterate, it's not about what he did as a superintendent, but look at the total bent of his life. So I ask that as you consider Dr. Edmonds in the future, and next week, hopefully next month, that you consider the total bent of his life. So I ask that you break that tie. Two faults. Dr. Edmonds served in the military, but he failed to go to airborne school. That's one fault. Second fault, he went to Georgia Tech, the best school in the world. Not because some of us have an affiliation with Georgia Tech, but I sat in a commanders conference, intelligence commanders conference, Mr. Chairman, when we were looking for Osama bin Laden, and we were looking for technology to find him and his cohorts. General Keith Alexander turned to us when we were just discussing how to trap this criminal. He said, we need to call the guys at Georgia Tech to find the technology to get this guy. That's why I said Georgia Tech is the greatest, because the largest budget in our country is the defense budget. We spend millions of dollars to Georgia Tech to do that. A lot of people don't know, a lot of it's classified. So again, Mr. Chairman, board, please consider this great man. I ask that you name this campus after him, similar to what we did with Mr. Mason. If you think about Mr. Mason's campus, which is never broadcast, by the way, we have Larry Campbell Stadium, we have Mr. Buddy Bufford, we have Mr. Burgess, Thomas Bunch, all on that campus that are honored. I ask that you do the same so that as we go to the future on this campus, as we expand, as people come from Columbia County and Augusta, that you name this the Randall Edmonds Campus of Excellence, and as we expand this campus, others will know and children will have an opportunity to ask the question, who's Randall Edmonds? Thank you for your time, and I hope that you will act on this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Mason.
I'm going to email you a copy.
Next, we have financials.
Okay, this is the general fund ending October 31st, 2022. We are 33.33% fiscal year complete. If we look at our total revenues, we see 22.14%. This is in line with last year's October reporting of revenues as well. at 22.43%. So we're in line with where we expect to be ending October. Moving down to the expenditures, once again, 33% of the year complete. You can see at the bottom, we're at 31.64% of expenditures to date as of October 31st. This is in line with last year, which was 31.89%. Looking, sorry, go back up. Looking by function, all the functions look pretty much in line. The biggest one that is a little off would be the maintenance and operation, function 2600. It's a little over here, but we did have some big one-time expenditures in the spring that that's a little misleading. So really, we're about 50% if you look at just our, non-salary expenditures. So when we have our next amended budget, we will need to look into that one. But everything else looks really pretty much in line with where we are. Student transportation, you can see that that is lower, and that's because in our budget we have the expenditures for buses. So once we get to that, you will see that number be more in line with our with where we stand percentage-wise. Okay. This is our fund balance sheet to date. We have a fund equity of $972,000. And then if you go to the next page, this just reiterates our fund balance.
Do you know how that compares to last year?
Yes. Last year at this time we had 1,100,000. Right now we have almost 1 million in the fund balance. Okay, SPOS collection proceeds. We're up at 89,000, almost 90,000 for October, which is the September collections. Moving on to our summary. Okay, as you can see, we have a balance in our SPOS account of $375,965, and then our bond balance is $607,000, leaving us with a total available balance to pay off our next payment of $983,000. This is 84% on our way to our April 1st payment of $1.17. Moving on to our capital projects. Currently, it's just still the concession stand. So you can see what we spent in the previous year and now what we spent in fiscal year 23. Remaining balance for that one stand is $1,627. I know we are also building a second stand, so we have that available for other projects that we can take it out of that once we amend the budget to add that second one. Okay, this is just the financial status reports. This is the general fund. Reiterates what we've already talked about with the estimated revenues, but it shows the monthly column. So we received $804,000 this month of October in revenues. Once again, 23.14% in line with last year. And then moving down to expenditures, we're at 31.64%, which is less than the 33%, and we've spent almost $1.1 million this month. And we have total encumbrances of $38,000. Next up, we have our special revenues fund. We've made some drawdowns, so we're going to be getting money. So as you can see, our total estimated revenues is now almost in line with our expenditures, which is what we want for our special revenues, because that is how we get that money. Okay, next up is our capital projects fund. As you can see, just interest in revenue. Expended, we only spent $248,000 this month, $248 this month, leaving us with that $9,654 spent this year. And then last is our debt service fund. We received our $90,000 in revenues, 25.74% of the year. November we'll receive more, and then expenditures, we didn't have any this year. This month, we paid it last month, the first payment. And our next big payment will be in April, well, March 30th. And that is our financials.
Any questions? Ms. Taylor?
You feel comfortable with everything, based on what you know so far? Anything red flags pop up?
The repairs and maintenance, that 2,600, we've just had expenditures that weren't in our budget, so we'll just have to amend that. A part of that, which I, me and
Where
Dr.
is
Light
that?
went over, it's,
With
Yeah.
26,000?
yeah, it's the 2,600, so in the general fund,
Oh, that account number.
yeah, the account number, which means maintenance of the facility.
Okay.
And so, electricity, Georgia Power, so far, we're 35,000 over where we would usually be at this point, and it's the high school. We've talked to them, and we really don't understand why it said that they've just increased our pricing.
The cost per unit has gone up drastically,
So,
yes.
we're only 4 months in, and it's already 34,000 higher right now, so we'll have to project that out if it continues at this rate, so that's a big hit. Definitely.
8,500 a month? More?
It's more. Yes,
Yeah, it-
it's quite a bit more. It really is.
Used
And
to be
they
10.
sent us an email and said that it's going up, I don't remember the exact number, but it was going up drastically per kilowatt. And I said, well, that's why we have the flexible spending. And he made the point that this is affecting flexible spending. It's going up if you have the regular spending. It's going up even more, so,
So what's when we did the LEDs,
yes,
when we had that guarantee, are we still under that? 'Cause
We're
that was
still
like
under
10
that.
years, right?
yes, we're still under that. And we still have that coming back.
I just can't see savings from it because of all this stuff, but apparently it's supposed to cause us savings. So if we didn't have that, apparently we'd be even higher. I'm not seeing it, and
And these new air conditioning units should help, shouldn't they?
Yes, definitely. I feel that'll make a difference, but we gotta get them here and get them installed.
So are we like fully automated, I guess, I don't know how it works, but I have went into the school over here and it's been like 62, it seems like in there. I don't know, I mean, when, at the end of the day, do y'all just leave them set on one temperature that is automated or?
It goes in, I believe it's 3:30, it goes into what is called non-occupied mode, and you can do that over here on iView. And that non-occupied mode goes into 77 degrees. Now, whether that's for cool, of course. For
Right,
heat,
right,
it's not
right.
that high, but for cool, it goes to 77 degrees. So it is a little bit warmer. And we've had meetings over there in May that we've had to adjust that.
Right.
That's a factor that tries to help us save money. So the iView does that for us. We don't have that at the elementary.
But this is just because of a rate hike, is that right?
That's a rate hike, yes, from Georgia Power. That's correct.
I do know there was a rate hike.
Yeah, it's a heck of a rate
And this
hike.
not the last one, is it, or?
No, he's expecting at least one more this year.
That's just wrong.
I wish I could control that, I really
A
do.
lot of us did.
And along with that unexpected electricity hike, we just had some things that weren't in our budget prepared by our maintenance director last year. HVAC repairs costing us 22,000, a roof repair that wasn't in our budget at 11,000, a water heater broke at the high school at 15,000.
Now, you're saying last year, but you
Well,
mean
when
right?
the fiscal year 23 budget that we created in like April of 22. So these were all like the projections of our maintenance director that we lost for 2 months, and then we got our new one in June, July.
Okay. So these are things that's come out of this budget, but it was stuff that was done at the end of last year?
It was in our tentative fiscal year 23 budget when we were creating that, each of our different people. So when the maintenance director was creating the fiscal year 23 budget, we didn't have these items in it.
Okay.
And so it's just causing us an increase in those.
So it was the water heater and roof?
We have a roof repair, 11,000, water heater, 15,000, sidewalk repairs, 10,000, HVAC repairs, 22,000. And so that's why we are seeing this 36.62%, because there are items that we have to pay in the spring that are causing it to look as if we're in line, but we have to pay our repair, our insurance of $65,000 in March. We have to pay our lease energy savings out of this account, $53,000. So that's already $110,000 that we're kind of just shielding. So I wanted to kind of bring that to light so that it looks great here, but we have those big payments in the spring.
So what would that number be? The 30s, at 100%, what would it really be?
So if these items were taken out, we're at 60%.
Okay. Oh, boy. Okay.
That's my only concern. Everything else looks great. And then once we get our revenue flowing in from property taxes, it's just right now, this one little month is the biggest dip we always get. So bad timing for one-off repairs.
So what was that total again, just roughly? Those 4 items, 80,000, I mean, you were going pretty quick.
Oh, sorry. In total,
Just roughly what were
okay,
they?
145,000.
145,000, okay, extra in maintenance, okay.
Mhm.
Anything else from the students? Thank you, students. Next we have 2020, it's 22, 23, but I think it's 23, 24 calendars.
It is 23-24 calendars, you're correct. The 23-24 calendar, normally this time of year, actually in October, we sit and discuss the calendar with the leadership team and give the principals and the leadership team an opportunity to create calendars to try and provide an opportunity that they feel may improve the calendar. This year, the middle school decided that they didn't need to present one because this was their calendar in the first place from last year. The elementary school was very happy with the current calendar. The high school presented a calendar very similar to what they did last year, which is where this second calendar came from. We sent it out to all of the employees, gave them an opportunity to vote on option A or B. And the traditional calendar, or the calendar that we currently have this year, was approved 60% to 40%, or 69 votes for, and 46 for the other calendar. So I am recommending that we use the B calendar, as it's called here, which is our traditional calendar that is very, very similar to our calendar today, and approve that based on the responses from all of our votes.
And just to be clear, it's the one he has now.
That one right there, yes, sir.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
That's it.
First day of August, the second.
That's correct. First day for students is August the 2nd. First day for teachers is August the 25th.
July.
I'm sorry, it is July, you're correct. First day, or last day for students would be May 22nd, and the last day for teachers would be May 24th. Graduation also May 24th.
Cal, thanks you, Bryce.
It does good.
She says it should be there right
I'm good. I'll make a motion to
What was that?
accept it.
now.
The- What? Go ahead.
I don't know.
Memorial Day is not marked as a holiday. It's after school ends, but yeah, so it doesn't really matter for the majority of people, but.
So 27th.
27th,
May,
right?
yeah, should be read, because it's not a student holiday.
Right.
It's just a 12-month holiday, or an 11-month.
All right, Mr. Reese.
I'll make a motion that we accept calendar B as the traditional for the 23-24 school year.
Second.
Have a second by Ms. Barstow. Any other discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Next, we have our Bluebird passenger buses.
I believe everybody is aware that the state actually passed that we receive the value of 6 buses based on $88,110 at the start of July. It was July 1, for us to be able to purchase 6 buses over the next 3 years. Now, as a district, we had the option to purchase them as soon as possible. We had the option to purchase them at the very end of the 3 years. We had to have that spent by the end of FY '25. All of that being said, we also had applied for 9 of our diesel buses to go back to Bluebird and receive $30,000 for each one of those diesel buses. Now, we did not get selected for that program in the first cut, as they call it. We're supposed to get a second cut in February, and they're telling us that most of the systems that are buying electric buses got picked in the first cut. We're not buying electric buses, we're buying propane buses. So we're expected to be in the second cut, and Mr. Scott got that information today. That being said, I am recommending that we purchase the value of 4 of our buses, 4 72-passenger Bluebird propane buses with air conditioning in each one, the value of $131,930 per bus, which will use up the majority of the $5,028,660 that we got from the state to be able to purchase those buses up front. When we get the money from Bluebird after we turn in the diesel buses, and we get the rebate of $12,000 per bus because these are propane, then we will use that money towards more buses. But there's no reason for us to wait on and find out how much higher the cost of a bus is going to go. So I'm recommending that we use this money to purchase 4 72-passenger Bluebird propane buses for $527,720.
So the state will allow that 88, 6 times 88, to go toward only 4 buses?
Yes, they'll allow that to go towards as many as you can purchase with that.
But I have a follow-up to that. But we are, if we use this money, we are obligated to, within 3 years, buy a total of 6 buses, no matter what happens. In other words, is that,
You got 3 years to spend the money.
We have to spend it by then. This is what we get. We have to
Alright,
spend it by then.
But last year, y'all agreed on, voted $102,000 for a bus. This year, we got, the other bus was $131,000. Next year, it's gonna be probably $140,000.
and I understand that, but I'm kind of asking, saying, as the chairman, if the state's giving us this money for 6 buses, and we're only buying 4, the way I understand it is we are to purchase 6 buses over the next 3 years. Is that,
We would have to buy 2.
2 more, but
Mhm.
within the next 2
Next 2
years
years.
is what I'm saying.
We can't
Now-
use that full amount and fund just 4. and
Just
not pay
4.
for the overage.
So within 3 years, we will have 6 new buses.
Mhm.
At
At
whatever,
the-
the other 2 we hope we'll get if we get the diesel bus cost back, plus the $12,000 for propane. But if not, we will still be obligated to buy 2 more buses.
We don't have to buy them. We just have to fund the difference with what the bus cost. So if we just don't get that 88,000 if we don't buy those buses. But the
Right, but that's what we're
Yeah,
saying.
that's-
So that 527
is,
is the, yeah, so I mean, if that 88 is, the 528 is based off of the 6 times 88, right? So, and we're saying the 4 is gonna cost 527.
we have to fund that.
Yeah, so the rest of it's just gotta come. I mean, the other 2, we'll either have to give the 176 back, or, which if we get the 6 times 30.
If it all works out, we're in
Yeah.
good shape. But I just
Correct.
want to be clear
Yeah,
that
so,
at the end of the day, in 3 years, we'll have 6 new buses, is what we're saying.
Correct.
That is the plan. Okay.
If you get 5, you do away with all the route buses, diesel buses. You got 5 now that's still running route.
When do they usually make a price increase? First of the year?
Yeah, more like.
Okay.
How did your question get answered? 'Cause I think you're trying to clarify, if we do not purchase 6 buses, will there be a penalty? Do we?
I don't
have to
think there's a
purchase?
penalty. What I'm saying, I understand the math, and if everything works out where we're able to turn in, if they accept us in the February cut, for the buses that we take back, that money we receive, plus the 12,000 off the rebates, we would have the money to purchase the extra 2 buses. What I'm saying, if that cut, we don't make it again, we'll still be obligated to purchase 2 buses at our expense without that, is what I'm trying to clarify. That is correct, right? Or give back 88,000 times,
Yeah.
whatever we
Right.
don't. But
Right.
still, that's still money. I'm just wanting to be clear to what we're doing. And I get it. I mean,
That's the way I read it too.
That's the way I understand it, yes.
So we need to make sure that the minutes reflect that in big bold letters to remind us.
That won't be necessary, because she will remind us quickly when they start talking about sending the money back.
well,
We won't have to worry about that. It'll all work out.
Is there any possibility, when is the next cut on? the
February.
bus?
February.
February. Okay. After the price increase of $10,000.
You understand?
But don't we
I'm
usually
just-
get, go ahead,
No, go ahead.
don't we usually get a bus every year, pretty much?
We normally put that in our budget, yes, sir.
Okay.
You are correct.
And we get about $80,000.
Well, we were at one time getting 77. Now instead, they've lumped this into one payment over a 3-year period of 88,110. So we won't get 88,110 again until after FY '25.
Okay.
So as long as we don't have any extra maintenance expenses, we won't have any problem.
As long.
I mean, I think we're good. I just want to be clear about
I
what,
think we're
what
very
the
good,
whole,
too.
what it is.
Okay, any other questions on it?
I'll make a motion to buy the 4 buses.
We have a motion by Mr. Hyman to do the superintendent's recommendation of purchasing the 4 buses. Propane air conditioning buses.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Madison. Any other discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? Next, we have a policy for review, BCAEA. Consolidated hearings under IDEA in section 504.
This particular policy is for review. It is fine the way it is written, and we do not need to make any changes. The next one down is JBCA. And it is homeless children and youth. And the change here is on page 2. We are no longer under RTI by itself. We're under MTSS, which is a multi-tiered support system. It is a wider umbrella than RTI. Other than that, there is no change to this policy.
Okay. Any questions on any of those policies? All right, we're gonna move into superintendent's reports.
Okay, you've got a few things in front of you, board members, to try and help you charge along here. I believe that the first one is, when I was at Bootstrap last month up in Athens, I'm on the legislative committee for GSSA. GSSA, GALE, which is Georgia Association of Educational Leaders, Georgia School Board Association, which is GSBA, of course, the Superintendent's Association, and PAGE have come together as a group to identify legislative priorities. I wanted to share those with the board so that the board understood the direction that they are being pushed through the legislation, and hopefully they will come to fruition to try and help us. The first one is enhancing student and staff safety. That one is very understandable. They're trying to get the legislation to provide more money into the safety area, and obviously with the grant that we applied for, it's along those same lines. The next one is student transportation. As we were just discussing, the cost of student transportation has gone up dramatically. However, the state funding has not met that same ramp or increase. So we're trying to get the legislators to increase the state funding amount towards transportation. The one on the back is school counselors, trying to reduce the number of students per counselor that we would earn another counselor through the QBE system. Currently, it is 450 students per counselor. We're trying to reduce that number to a more manageable number so that we would acquire more school counselors. I wanted to share that so that if you saw something on there that caused a question, or if you get lucky enough to talk to a legislative body person, you would have that opportunity. So you have it in front of you. The next one down is the overnight field trip. This is just an FYI. Back in August, we approved our state officer to go to the overnight field trip and participate in FCCLA as an officer for the state. And that is not Isaiah Kane. I want to say Nigel, and that's wrong. Isaiah Kane. And he is holding an officer seat, and he will be down there December 1st through the 3rd. The next one down should be the information on the old gym that we discussed at our last board meeting, some of the repairs that will be necessary if we are going to turn that into a more usable gym besides just a practice arena. The basketball court, we would convert those to LED lights above the basketball court. The ceiling tile, as we pointed out, needed to be replaced, some painting in there, those kind of things. One of the things we talked about while we were down there was elementary backboards. I got a price on elementary backboards. For the backboard, they're $1,270 each to match the rim, which is that steel breakaway rim so that the backboard doesn't break, is $229 additionally. I talked to our maintenance guys today. They feel like they can install them instead of paying the $1,100 for the company to come install them individually. So we'll save a little money there. Dropping down to the girls' locker room, again, down in the old gym, we need to fix some drywall in the ceiling where there was a leak that has been taken care of, but the ceiling has not been repaired. The new toilets and new partitions in between the toilets need to be replaced. Again, painting, some light fixtures, new partitions as I talked about. So you're looking at probably $7,000, $8,000 in that area. The foyer, as we all saw, needs to have some ceiling tile and painted again. The entrance, we need to replace that soffit and add some center post supports in the entrance. The overall exterior, we've got some of those wall panels that have got the rock on the outside. They need to be sheared up and secured so that we don't have a problem with those. And then another issue we talked about is HVAC. And the pool's estimates are here attached with you. One of the units that is still kind of working will cost us $9,656 for pools to fix it and get it up to full capacity. The other unit that had actually been salvaged for parts, it will take $4,400 to get those parts that have been salvaged off of it back on the machine before they can truly identify why it's not running correctly. And as I said, that's the one that I was told it would cost too much to get repaired, so a full replacement was discussed. Now again, as we were talking about down there, when we take the HVAC units off of the high school down here taking the ones that work and putting them down there was my plan. But if we want to convert this quicker, it's going to cost us a little bit of money. And then what to do with the ones over here is another question as well. So just to give you an idea of what the conversation was and to try and keep everybody in the same direction of putting that gym back together. So there's some updates there. We also have, and Dr. Walski, I apologize, I'm going to pick on you for a minute. Can you update the board and obviously the community on what's going on with the playoff game and how that's going to have to be handled? Because it's not going to be cash at the door like we are accustomed to.
No cash allowed, you have to use GoFan.
And this is Georgia High School's
Georgia High
recommendation,
School.
not yours.
Yeah, no, I understand. You have to use GoFan. We are going to purchase a $100 card reader, and Beth's gonna sit at the Lillian Sims gate to sell tickets at the gate in case someone needs to. Our reserve seating was a question. We are gonna do reserve seating, however, it's reserve seating with some caveats to that, mainly being all of those who have reserve seats now are gonna get a first chance to buy tickets and those reserve seats on Monday and Tuesday. We've already contacted the paper. Beth's gonna stay late on Tuesday till 7 p.m. on next Monday, she'll be there till 3:30 selling tickets. So if you have season tickets, or not, reserve seating tickets, excuse me, you can come see Beth and she's gonna have a hard copy and handwrite your seat down. We know there are a lot of people who've been sitting in the same seat for generations. So we're gonna offer that to them. As the tickets go on sale to the general public, those are general seating. We have no way to reserve those seats otherwise. So when they buy a ticket, anybody can go into reserve seating, but you'll still have your seats that you purchased for the same price, if that makes sense. And Beth's gonna create a little handheld or a hand ticket that she's gonna write it in. So if Jason Leroy and his family wanna sit in their seats, they can come see Beth. They've gotta buy the tickets, with credit card or debit card, and Beth will do a handwritten ticket that gives you the rights to those particular seats. But as we open this up to the public, you'll have people sitting in reserve seating wherever there's an open space.
So Ms. Hahn will have it where, so like we get two, but in any additional seats, we'll have to do by through GoFan.
Yes,
And then she'll just
100%.
process it, so.
Yes, sir.
But we need to do it through her, not do GoFan ahead of time.
If you want them to have those reserve seats in your reserve section, because I know you have reserve seats, as most of y'all do, we wanted to be able to give those to you guys that have done that already. But GoFan, because we don't normally use GoFan, we're not able to upload they won't let us upload a map, so to speak, and block those sections off. So we're gonna do that manually with Beth and give you those seats. So if you wanna go sit in your seat and somebody's there, we're gonna have to ask them to move to an open spot that nobody's there, and those are your seats. Yes, sir.
Can the people that don't have a smartphone or a credit card, can they come to the school over here? Do y'all have a card that y'all can put it on and let them give you the cash and you
We
give them
don't
the
put
ticket?
anything on our card. I mean, that would be something that.
So if you don't have a card or smartphone, you can't go to the ball game?
No, you can do it without a smartphone. Beth's gonna help. You don't have to have the smartphone. We've got a card reader so if they come see Beth, she can pull that up on the computer and we can use the card reader to swipe, but you have to have a card.
That's what I'm saying.
You don't have to have the smartphone though. Beth can do that here. And she's gonna set up at Lillian Sims gate at that night with a card reader, to be able to help people with that.
It's just like a lot of older people in this community that do not have cards. And I was wondering if it was a way to get them a ticket early and put it on a school card and get the cash from them. Because you're going
To me, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that with a high school card with my name on it. These people who don't have a card, you could always go buy a prepaid Visa card or whatever, and then come up and see Beth, or go to Lillian Sims gate and swipe the card that way. But Georgia High School mandated this. You have to use GoFan, which is gonna entail a card.
Is there any other option other than Jim setting a tent up across the street and him coming over there and buying tickets and they give him cash? I mean, that is
The
possible.
only option I would say, like I say, is go buy a prepaid card. It needs to be Visa or MasterCard.
And unfortunately, as we all know, you get into the playoffs, Georgia High School's in charge of all of that. We don't have any control, and they get their
12% off the top.
12% off the top.
We have improved reception at the football field now through Verizon, though, right?
Yeah,
It's improved, I'm not gonna say it's good.
Yeah.
they put a new antenna up.
I know.
Mine worked good last.
I know last night, we were over there and the ones with Verizon were actually starting to get some 5G there, so that's
Yeah.
gonna help a lot.
Good.
Do we need to approve any of this or recommend any of this to get things moving?
That piece I can take care of because it's under the amount. If it gets over the amount, then I'll have to bring it back to the board, yes. Like this one?
Mhm. So, I know we all went through and walked through and we discussed these different things and talked about some of the needs.
But to me, it's either fix this gym or tear it down, and tearing it down is at least a couple $100,000, isn't it?
It's too valuable. I mean,
Yeah.
To us, it can definitely be valuable to us, I think.
So for me, the tax revenue, how much more tax revenue have we received versus in the past? I know the valuations, we've lowered the millage rate, but we're actually getting more money in, so that helps offset our 145 extras, so we just need to know what is available that we can spend, isn't that right?
Well, you also have to realize that our budget is actually based on knowing some of that ahead of time too, though.
That's what I'm talking about. I mean, we need to know a timeline when we're gonna actually bring it back up, if we wanna bring it back up.
And that's, I mean, at this point, it's not a thing that, very little that we can do to get it available for middle school this
Yeah.
year.
Right.
But it definitely needs to, except the elementary school stuff. That can be used, I know they talked about needing that, just having the, same backboard will make a big difference.
Yeah, I can order those in the morning. Just wanted the board to know what that cost was gonna be up front.
If I'm hearing correctly, we're saying that the gym itself, we're not planning on getting it up to par
Immediately.
immediately.
We're gonna be working on it, but we're not gonna spend a ton of money immediately because we just don't have it immediately. But we will get it going as soon as we can, which will also help us with the HVAC cost because hopefully by then we'll have them from over here.
Okay, any other thoughts on that, questions on it? Okay. Need a motion to go into executive session.
Question, sorry.
All right.
So we're gonna approve to go ahead and purchase this backboard and the rim.
Yes, ma'am. I can do that because it's under the threshold that is required to go to the board. So I just wanted to bring it to the board to show them what it was, so that when it shows up over there, you don't say, why'd you spend 12,000 or whatever number somebody says. We're in good shape on the price of that. They're pretty good,
Yeah.
taken care of.
Okay. Anything else?
Second.
We need a motion first.
I made a motion.
I have a question.
Oh, I'll make a motion.
We have a motion to go into executive session, second by Mr. Massey. I want to call our meeting back to order. Dr. Light has recommended, and I make a motion that we approve the following as substitute teachers for the 2022-2023 school year. Ms. Patty Arthur, Ms. Casey Dion, Ms. Kay Fincher, and Ms. Chelsea Shebottom.
I'll second.
Have a second by Mr. Madison. All in favor? Unanimous. Do you have anything else?
Yes, there's a possibility we might be able to take cash in some capacity, and we're gonna find out tomorrow.
Okay.
So I'll get that, use the Dr. Light, and he can get out to y'all.
Thanks for looking into it.
Sweet.
Anything else?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Mr. Hutton,
Second.
second by Ms. Barksdale.